Hey, Flooring Pros. I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where we talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, software experts, and anyone I believe is going to help you in your flooring business. Now, my mission is to give you good information that's going to help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business, you're trying to reach 5 million in sales or 10 million in sales, or you're getting ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that'll help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. The Flooring Business Podcast is sponsored by Jerry's Flooring Family. If you're ready to grow your sales by 90K over the next 90 days, go to jerrylevinson.com/apply. I look forward to talking to you there. Now, this week I got on, you guys are going to love this interview. Guy Jordan Parker built his business from scratch. He owns Direct Flooring. He has 3 stores, 7 salespeople, and only one wife. I think it's a good idea, even though he has 3 stores. It's still good to have one wife versus having 3 wives working in each store. That's a lot to manage. His wife's fantastic. So, what the business he built, he's got a very unique model, and he can show you how he got to 8 million in sales, how he does a lot more with less. So, you're gonna really enjoy this interview. If you don't like it, then you can request your money back. Also, do me a favor, smash that like button below. I appreciate it. Appreciate your support. Now, here's Jordan. All right. So this week I have on Jordan Parker, right?
Yes, sir.
And from Direct Flooring. And now this isn't the same. There's a Carpet Direct out there. At first, when you reached out, I thought it was Carpet Direct. I'm like, man, I don't want to interview them. I don't like the Carpet Direct model, but I'm glad that that's not the same business, right?
No, it is not. I'm in Tennessee, so I'm sure it's much different.
Yeah. So you got one. Are you familiar with the Carpet Direct?
I am not. I've actually never heard of them.
It's one of the worst models out there. What they do is they set you up with a van. You do your own marketing, you get your own customers, and the model is let's sell carpet cheaper and then let them work directly with the installer to save money. So the salesperson makes no money. You make so much more money working for somebody else. So I don't know why anybody would do it, but
Ooh.
they lasted for a long time. And I think they're going out. If they haven't gone out of business, they're going out. But
Oh,
so
wow.
glad to see you got a much healthier, better business from what I
Yes, sir.
can tell. So tell us a little bit about it. What got you in the flooring industry in the first place?
Sure. Well, number one, I just have to say again, Jerry, Mr. Levinson, I really appreciate you having me on. And I started watching some of your YouTube as a small business owner and as someone in the industry who's always looking to improve and enhance what we do. Started getting a lot of value out of your YouTube videos. So I just really appreciate what you do, and I'm honored to be here with you today.
Good.
Uh, so yeah, to tell you about me, I mean, of course, to talk about someone or a company that represents the person who founded it, you always kind of go into your past. So I'm actually third generation in the flooring industry, but back in my early years, it was all carpeting.
Yeah.
So so my company, Direct Flooring, is based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the backdrop of Chattanooga, 30 miles down into Georgia, is Dalton, Georgia, which was known as the carpet capital of the world.
No, I
So
was
it's
gonna say that's good because there's like no competition in Georgia. So that's a great place to get
oh
your
my goodness. I mean, it's like, they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I didn't know any different. I just knew it was this incredible area of industry, carpet. I mean, it's in everyone's blood down there. They stay in the business sometimes for 3, 4 generations. But to say all that, my grandfather, of blessed memory, his name's Barney Solomon, he was my first teacher. And I started working for him. Well, just to say, he had a large operation back in the 50s and 60s in Dalton, Georgia, manufacturing carpeting.
okay.
Well, when I was growing up in that, well, I'm early 80s is when I was born, but let's say the late 80s, early 90s, I remembered some of his factories, but more than anything, I remembered his retail stores. So he had a few retail stores. So I grew up at the age of 10 working in his, at that time, it was the only retail store that he had open, but it was well established. And I learned a lot of retail, a lot of good business. I mean, even at that early age, and I worked for $1 an hour. So it was 50, 60 hour weeks in the summertime, but it was the learning, it was the lessons.
And as you said, you've looked at a lot of my content. How much of that have you seen that was the stuff that your grandfather did it?
Well, it is. I mean, retail. My grandfather, let me just say, was not textbook. He had an education, but he learned it as he went, and I still feel like I've learned it as I've gone. A lot of what I'm seeing in the content that I really take from is the management side.
Okay.
How do we structure ourselves correctly, but then how's the accountability? How do we portion that out, and then how do we follow through? So the vision, the managing. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and so am I. So, and I'm sure so are you. So, to connect those dots is always fun and interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's been fascinating to see that to me, the more sophisticated we're getting as the industry grows, learns, and improves, it's almost a step backwards. The way that we communicate with customers, the way we deliver an estimate, the way we work with people, it's gotten more technical and complicated,
Sure.
where what I find, and when I'm working with companies, a lot of them, especially the older companies,
Sure.
I hear a lot of, well, that's the way we used to do it. That way worked. It was simple and it worked real well. And it seems like people have changed a lot. But you touched on another thing, which was fascinating. It's not even a part of the questions I have for you, but the leadership. I see a lot of people getting into the industry that were installers, and it's all about getting that work done right. But talk about that. How important it is it to have good leadership to run
Oh
your
yeah.
company?
Yeah. Well, in any company, I always, and I said this about my installation teams because I used to work incredibly close with my installers.
Yeah.
Uh, I used to say, you're as good as your weakest link. So,
Yeah.
however you have to quality control or understand, your job from start to finish, and that's one thing I was able to learn as I really grew in my own self and within the flooring business that I created, was that how do I always improve on what we're doing, because there's little. It's this, Mr. Levinson. It's always about the details. There, back in the day, I say back in the day, 20 years ago, when we did so much carpet, 15 years ago, the little things like an installer vacuuming, that made the biggest impression on a customer.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making sure your team is mission and vision oriented. I'm really working hard as the owner. I've got the onus to deliver that mission and vision, and to always work with my manager at my location, my general manager, to make sure that that is always conveyed, and then the accountability steps that go with each salesperson and warehouse crews. So and installation crews. So we've got to have fun. We got to be a team, but the culture for us always has to be, we're serious about what we do. We're passionate about what we do, and how can we always improve on what we do? So I feel like that's kind of the where I've been working for 21 years now. How can I always improve?
Taking me off in a little different direction. As a side note, have you ever had anybody that was a rock star that negatively affected the culture and you had to fire them?
Well, we've had, yes, absolutely. Now
Yeah.
that I thought of it, gentleman was the most impressive salesperson. I've had a couple of those actually. The
Yeah.
most impressive, but their follow up, their follow through, and the idea that there was toxicity. And
Hmm.
once you have a toxic work environment, again, that's the leadership's role. You better, if you can't nip it quickly, then you've just got to separate. And you know what? Every time I've done that, the person has said, "Well, you're going to lose a ton of business. Are
Right.
you sure you want to do that?" And every time I've actually done more. I mean, a lot more, even the following month. So it was like, well, obviously that was the right choice.
It's gonna hit home for a couple of clients I have. They're dealing with it now, where your rock star, your top salesperson, you gotta let them go because poisoning the culture, and it hurts, and there's a lot of fear around that, and you don't like firing people, but you can't ever allow somebody to affect your culture negatively. Spend so much
Exactly.
time at work. So let's go back in your journey though. What brought you to where you're at today? Tell us about how you. I saw that you started working out of the back of your truck, basically, selling carpet.
Sure.
The rest.
So yeah, I mean, this I feel like I'm a champion of the just that blue collar and hardworking idea. I mean, my grandfather was an immigrant, and his work mentality was no matter how hard you're working, work harder. He didn't take holiday, he didn't take vacation. He didn't have a lot of hobbies, and I can tell you, he probably wasn't the happiest person either. You know, he
Yeah.
was very much a family person, but he just it was survival to him as an immigrant. So for me, I mean, I can use some of that to say he was my teacher, and it propelled me to push so hard from the very beginning. I knew I wanted to be in business. I knew I was an entrepreneur from a young age. I started my first business when I was in high school, and my grandfather at that point acknowledged me and said, you know, you are basically destined to get into business. So I came home from college, university early. After 2 years, I said it's the two longest years of my life. I did not need college. I didn't want to be in
Yeah.
college, but I was also scared to death when I came home because I came home to my family's store in 2002 that was not doing well. It was not the store that I remembered. The management had changed, the location had changed, everything. It's never one thing, it's a multitude of things that affect a company. But in the end of the day, the best thing I ever did, or best thing my family ever did, is close that business. And it was hard. And I always said more. So I took it on the road. I had my mother, God bless. She's still my biggest fan and supporter, and she helped co-sign a 2004 Ford truck. And I never was able to get bank loans or anything like that until much later on in my career. But little by little, I mean, I started out of a storage facility, a 10 foot by 30 foot, where they let me use a forklift, which was amazing that they did that. And it was just incredible, incredibly difficult. I wasn't married, so I had time. I worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, I worked a second job for a year and a half. And then, like I said, everything was learning, everything was progress. So I was just so glad to be able to have my own business, and I'll say this last part, on top of just me having my own business, and of course providing food for the table, and at that point I got, you know, I was married and young family about 2009, 10. But more than that was also remembering my grandfather.
Yeah.
So when I first started, it was so meaningful to me to walk down and see, like I say, Carpet Alley, which used to be a sight to behold down in Dalton. But a lot of those people still knew my grandfather. The echoes of him were still all around the town of Dalton. So
What was your grandfather's name again?
Barney Solomon.
Barney. Oh, okay. That's
Solomon White Company was his largest of his companies.
okay. All right. Have you ever had a sale or special or a product or service that you named it after him?
Oh, that would be great.
That would be fun. It would be good marketing, and then you could tell that story, the
Oh,
more romantic story, and bring that into that.
to bring him forth, the one thing I did do is he had a beautiful set of co-signing pins with his name, and it said park. It says it's a nice ornament, and I had it on my desk for quite some time, and it had his name on it, and it said Park City Warehouse 1956. So it was one of his pioneering when he was getting in the industry. But yeah, there were a lot of ideas and thoughts I would always keep with, again, my family's legacy in the business.
Yeah.
But I love what you just said, Jerry, about, again, really making that as the connecting point. As yeah.
Yeah, you can storyboard that stuff, especially with the social media. You can do a lot with that.
Thank you.
I learned something interesting, or was in a class, and it was interesting. They say, the whole thought of people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And these guys made a point of saying, well, that's not true. You don't, think about the last purchases you made. You don't know those people. You didn't like, wanted that product or service, like Discount Tire. You don't care about the owner or anything you bought on Amazon. You don't care about Jeff Bezos or, so that's not necessarily true, but we do have a lot of personality marketing and a lot of branding that can go a long way with things like that. Introducing that person into the business, um,
Sure.
and even a character or something like that
And
makes a lot
especially,
of fun.
and I've seen your take on doing that. I think it's great, but especially as a flooring retailer, I really do feel like there's a lot of room. There's only going to be, I think, two flooring retailers left. Three, the big guys, the box guys, and all the real big stores. The stores that I hope, like myself, the strong but trying to grasp all the nuances, all the social
Mhm.
media, trying to give that individual attention to each and every customer, and making it so you're almost a design consultant for that customer, and giving them value, giving that customer value that they're maybe not going to get the real big guys. And the third group, I hate to say, is the group that probably won't be in business, or they'll be just the real small operators that maybe are not grasping the full social media, or just don't have uh, everything in order to really ride along with the rest. Mm-hmm.
No, this business has always been insane to me, and the amount of opportunities there are, and which ways you can go between commercial, residential, retail, all the different products and services we can do between the different types of flooring that there are we're selling, and whether you're installation material only, and there are so many variations of how you can operate this business. And a lot of it does come down to the marketing, and how are you going to market to those customers? And even that is untapped as far as there are some unique opportunities that are still left, and always trying to stay ahead of the game. Um, let's go back a little bit further though. Tell me about your process is into getting into showrooms, and how did you grow this? Is this business designed the way that you envision? I love you were talking earlier about not only having a vision but sharing that with your team. So important. But are you where you want to be, or what is that vision, the ultimate future? How many
Uh,
stores do you have right now?
we have three locations in the
Three
Chattanooga
locations.
and
Wow.
surrounding area. We have five warehouses, so we're a huge
Wow.
stocking. Thank you. And integrated some of the real estate that I bought through the years as also owner occupant, in the sense that I lease to my flooring stores. Um, but yeah, the mission and vision. I think what you just said, and I can recite it by heart on both, but more than anything, it's do you live it, do you believe it, and do you convey it? And what we do, I mean, training is obviously so important. I'm going back into more in-depth training with my sales team.
Yeah.
I'm actually, and I know you've had some guests, I was listening to some recently that are big cold call advocates.
Yeah.
And you just said too, Jerry, I heard you say, the person to person, do you know the person? It's amazing now, and I didn't have this when I first started, but you could go on Google and get a list of builders, remodelers, property restoration, and work that list,
Yeah.
but you can't be afraid to call. I think it might be your saying where you say shoot the damn video.
Yeah. It's right
So,
behind me.
there it is. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm telling people about that, and yourself and what you're doing. But I'm also saying, in a sense, make the damn call. You know, if you sit there and overthink it, and if you're not focused, it's not going to happen.
I'm
So,
even guilty of that. Not doing that as much as I should do that, but
right. And I
it's
heard your sales manager, and you're and talking about your sales team, and we have about six salespeople at our store, maybe seven, between the locations, and then
you have
uh,
six, seven between the three locations.
correct.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you have
and
a sales manager too?
we do not, but our general manager oftentimes acts as a sales manager,
Okay.
so that works out pretty well. He has a strong sales background. Um, but back to your question, I mean, or where are we going? What's the end game? Well, in the next 5 years, I hope to really expand. I don't know if I want to expand much in the sense of showrooms because
Right.
obviously the overhead's high. I would love to have different reps to sell for direct flooring. We have a drop ship program so we can get material, especially within a 2 hour, 2.5 hour radius of Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've got local trucks that can deliver. But we can deliver nationwide for a flat fee. So we'd love to expand outward.
Do you mind sharing what the just the revenue with the three stores has been over the last couple of years?
Sure. We're in the realm of about 8 million a
Oh,
year,
great.
and
Fantastic.
we're trying to get to 12.
Okay. Goal is the 12. Okay.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, and then tell us a little bit about your sales process. So how does it work? How does your sales team work? Somebody comes into your showroom and they're interested.
Sure. So yes, so we have a very unique showroom, and we do a lot of advertising, a lot of marketing. Our showroom is what we call a walk-on showroom. So if you go onto our website, all of the floors are laid on the floor. So I'm what I call an anti-rack dealer.
Okay.
For me, for me, the rack system it's everywhere and it's fine and it works depending on space. But my dream come true was the store that we've recently opened about a year and a half ago. And again, you'll see it laid out in our main website, but it's a walk-on showroom and it allows the customer to see it in large format. And we're about 80% LVP in the
Okay.
slang LVP, waterproof flooring. We're about 15% carpet, 5% hardwoods. Those are our three main areas, but we're just doing incredible business in LVP. Of course, it's a volume game,
Yeah.
and to do those type of figures, and our drop ship helps for our out of town customers. Um, but yeah, to have so the sales process. I'm sorry to get back to that. We always want to know what brought them in. How did you hear about us? And first we're going to introduce ourselves. How did you hear about us, if I may ask? And that's always a segue into doubling down on one of our unique advantages. If they say, well, we saw you on Google, we are so proud of the work we do, and especially with, not just sales, but installations. And thank you for finding us. And now that you're here, let's listen and help you get the right product for your needs and your home and your family. So a lot of that, from the start, our store, I think, feels really nice. It's really airy. It's what I call an experiential showroom. We want you to spend time there, just experiencing and seeing and knowing that, you might have gone to two other stores on a Saturday, and we might be your last stop or your first stop, but we're going to look different than the others.
Yeah.
So, there's always, like I say, there are always those things. How do we do things differently? What can we do that other flooring stores aren't doing?
Yeah. Well, I don't believe people are running around price shopping. We saw this question in the forum one time is how many stores do you think people go to before they make a decision? And I don't think that's quantifiable because it's until they go to as many as it takes to make the decision. Um, if they're shopping based on price, it's due to the store not being trained well enough to get them into a good selection. So how that process goes is vitally important, and it's all about that sales presentation.
Sure,
So the other thing I find in it's fascinating, and even looking over your marketing, and absolutely one of the better ones I've seen. But I challenge anybody to look at marketing and find one store that's advertising how beautiful the flooring is going to look.
that's
It's
right.
all about durability or price.
That's right. You're
Nobody
right.
is advertising how beautiful this your new flooring is going to look and how much you're going to love it.
Mm,
Using the
mm,
heart emojis, they're not getting women excited about the products and how they're going to feel when the house is done. You know who Brian Tracy is, right?
I actually don't. I
Yeah,
don't.
the guru in sales and marketing. And
Okay.
I was listening to something one of his tapes on one of my walks, and he was saying, people don't buy the product or service. What they're buying is the outcome.
Yes.
And it made me change up the sales presentation I created for my clients too, to start with that outcome. It's like, let's try and get that customer more excited about the product, because our goal is always that we're the most expensive and they go with us anyway. I don't
Hmm.
want to beat my competition's price. I want to beat them on presentation.
Sure.
And
Well, and
yeah, when you have those extra things, I find, all the people like you do, there's always something unique and fascinating that you do that's not being communicated on the sales end. And it's like, wow, why don't you tell people about that?
yeah.
And it's something that, some way of communicating, some way of delivering the service that is great and unique, but it's not being communicated on the sales portion.
Mhm. That's that touches my heart. I mean, that is very true. And one thing that we're doing, and one thing I'm trying to really improve on as I grow as a person and as a professional and as a company, is the social media, is to help. And thank you for having me on again, to help expand. How do I constantly broadcast, not just for others, but of course for our team? So I just did again another team training on cold calls just this afternoon. But yes, how's the owner's DNA all the way into, and how is it believed all the way through the sales process,
Yeah.
where they understand. I was actually having dinner Friday night with a sales director at MSI, and he said, his sales team has to tell him what MSI means in 60 seconds and what it means in 30 seconds. And I told my sales team, as I shared some conversation Monday. I usually just let my manager head those meetings, but I said, you should be able to proudly communicate how we're different in 30 seconds and 60 seconds. One thing I'd like to you mentioned, Jerry, and I just want to touch on is, we talked about the product, the price, but really we're trying to sell that beautiful end result to the customer. We're trying to paint that picture. And I always say, or the old saying, it's not the steak, it's the sizzle,
Yeah.
So we always, here at Direct Flooring, we were always able to hone on, I learned there are three S's of construction. There's service, speed, and savings.
Yeah.
And how do you get all three of those together? They say you can't, but from day one, I've always been able to somehow, some way. But the speed, believe it or not, for us, and this is my experience, the speed, even if they say, well, I don't need that floors for that job for another month or 2 months, if you can say, and what we do when we do the in-home measurements, which is really the best thing,
Yeah.
when you're in home doing the consult, you're listening the whole time. You're trying to figure out what is their hot button and what order the S's. Is it all about price? Which you're right, it's usually not. Is it all about savings, or that's price, speed, or service? And the service meaning, are you a company that stands behind the quality, the craftsmanship? Do you have a great reputation? And are you, like I say, I was the worst salesperson in the world, and I did all my in-home estimates, measurements. I could say I did everything wrong. I mean, but people saw it in me. Thank God, enough people believed in me, and I learned little by little over time. But if you're going to work hard for that customer, I started where, if I open, or if they open the door, I said, I've got to screw this up, because they always want to go with. They always. I took the mindset they always want to go with me. So all I've got to do is continue that mindset. They want to use
Yeah.
my company.
I like that.
So much about it was the success mindset. And that's part of the cold calls too. If you're just thinking that you're going to inconvenience everybody by calling, well, that's the wrong way. You got to remember who you're representing as a company and all the advantages and all the help that you're going to do to save them not just money, but to create this service and be part of their success.
So I'll challenge you on that too. I would add another S, and that would be
Sure.
selection.
Ah,
Because let's say that you got great service, you can do it fast, and the price is good. But I don't like the way the flooring looks. I don't like the selection. Are they
sure.
going to go with it? But
You're right. You're
the
right.
odds of them going with it, if they love the selection and maybe they don't like the price, they're probably still likely going to go with it because that's what they love.
Right.
They want to see that outcome. They want to see how gorgeous this thing's going to look. And one thing I found with flooring companies, especially when you come from an installer's background, is they
Mm.
tend to sell very mechanical.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Okay. I
Okay.
changed my mic. It's been,
You were just saying an installer's background, they tend to,
yeah, tend to sell very mechanically.
uh,
So they're always selling um, how it can be done and the details, and they're more worried about the workmanship.
right.
A woman's trying to buy beautiful new flooring, and I think people trust very easily. Like they trust that you're in business, you're going to do it right, but they also trust the competition's going to do it right.
Right.
Somebody's trying to sell based on value or based on price, well, I don't like what you're saying, or I would rather buy more. And especially this is one thing we're trying to really get people to do is like offer baseboards when you're flooring.
Sure. Huh.
It should be packaged in with your deal at the price so you're profitable. But a lot of people are afraid to offer baseboards because they don't want to raise that average ticket because they're worried they're going to lose the sale.
Uh,
People have a natural fear of being too expensive and people not going with them.
mm,
But what if you give people an opportunity to buy something that the other person didn't even offer?
right.
But
Right.
they were afraid to offer it because they knew it was going to increase the price.
Uh, it
So
makes sense. I mean, that does. You always, you've got your what you call the meat and potatoes, but to be able to say, well, we also, you should probably consider this and this,
yeah,
and you can be a little bit softer about the sell, but the more that you, again, those things that separate you from the group beforehand,
yeah.
the better.
Well, and do you guys have any supporting presentations to go along with what you're saying?
Tell me, give me an example of a supporting presentation.
A flyer or
Yes.
something?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
something.
So right. So I watched, and this was part of my journey going online and finding yourself. And I found a Jason Goldberg video where he laid out, as part of a broadloom. It's a well done video, about a 25-minute video. And he talks about the divisions, how he's diversified at America's Floor Source.
Yeah,
And what I did, I mean, I spent most of last year saying, how are we diversified? And we already were. I mean, we're doing apartment complexes, we're doing a realtor division, which is part of retail because it's very service oriented.
yeah,
But anyways, we have builder remodeler division and drop ship division. So for each division, when our sales team or our team presents, then they already know, here's the package that goes along with it.
yeah,
Do they need a credit app? We have some that use credit. Do they, and these little signals? I think marketing for me, and again, I didn't learn this in college and university, but marketing for me was always, how do you signal? How do you get, how do you look prepared? How do you get the right information conveyed? I always tell the team, we can have the best product and the best price and the best service. We don't want to be the best kept secret. So
right.
how do we get that out?
Exactly.
But yes, you have to talk certain languages, whether it's retail, wholesale, apartment or multifamily, builder. So yeah, we do. We put a lot of emphasis on that. We've got actually you can see that on the website, but we do have catalogs, so that has our branding on it, and our brand in the Chattanooga and even the Dalton area, the direct flooring brand is really it's pretty big, pretty out there, which has been awesome.
Yeah. No, let me see. What is it? Carpet Direct?
Direct flooring.
Direct flooring. Sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Got all the words right, just in the wrong word. Direct. There it is. 659 reviews. Very good.
Thank you.
5 star. Well, that's got to be just one store too.
It is.
They don't combine Google reviews. So combined, what do you got? Like 12, 1,500 reviews?
No, no, not quite. There's give or take 100 so in the other locations. So,
The good reviews always are tell me one thing. It doesn't tell me that you're a good company. What
mm,
it tells me is that you have a process for getting reviews.
yes, sir.
You know, so I
Well,
love,
so, and one advantage, I didn't mean to cut in, but one advantage of being in the business for 20 something years, 21 years now, is that I was able to say, thank God I've had not just installation crews for over 20 years, but also clients for almost 20 years. So I was able to also go back and say, hey, we're still doing work with you. Would you mind leaving a review? And I love asking. I would say of those reviews, a good portion were me asking. And it's part of when I do constant contact, when I circle back on texting a lot of times is how I connect with my clients. So when I ask them for a review, I think, well, that's great. I've also reminded them that I'm here for them, right? Or that's the way I looked at it, at least. And it's worked very well.
yeah. The only thing I'd do a little bit different on your site is I'd have a picture of you and your wife on there.
Oh, thank you.
'Cause
Thank you.
Lo's a beautiful wife, and you guys make a great looking couple up there. And seen people do that, and it just really makes a connection where they're buying from you, not a company necessarily. And I think people do business with people. They like doing business with people. Tell me more about your marketing and do you base your spend on a percentage or do you base it on, hey, I think this ad's gonna work. Let me try this media.
Yes. So this is where I'm so glad to be speaking with you, Jerry, because there is no scientific calculation on how I do the spend and the marketing. What has happened with our company, we have grown so much in the past, well, I say so much, year after year since 2021, about 20%.
Yeah,
So at the same time,
great.
well, thank you. And at the same time, again, it's always hard to figure out what's working best, as far as advertising goes, as far as marketing, we feel like we've got a lot of things that we're definitely doing. I mean, especially communicating like we are now through social media platforms. I think that's going to help us a lot. Paid for advertising, we do pay. I never paid until I opened in 2021 for what we call walk-in retail. I was always direct to builders, or I was word of mouth referrals. But yeah, the advertising, I mean, it's a hefty chunk, and we do a lot of billboards. According to, and you'll probably kill me for saying this, but according to the feedback we get, because we used to have a "How'd you hear about us" form that all of our salespeople filled out. It said only 2% came from billboards, and I'm looking at it and thinking we're spending that much for billboards, and only 2.5% of the customers came in for billboards. But what you also come to find out is, in marketing and advertising, a customer I feel is going to check, or a client or a prospective homeowner is going to check you out 3 different ways. And Google's always big, but the other ways are also significant.
I used to ask, and in fact, I put it on the top of my invoice because I really wanted to know, and I also want a verification for the customer where they heard about us from. I figured that was good validation. If it was a referral website, giving them a reminder of where they heard us from, and but I learned not to place too much emphasis or value in that. And this is actually something I got from Jason Goldberg too, is he has a good idea and a good feel for where it's coming overall, his marketing efforts and campaign. But like you said, billboards may be working better, but you probably don't get evidence that that's working if it is, because people go through your website. Same thing with social media marketing. A lot of times, the social media works, but you don't get direct evidence that that's working because people do come through your website most often. And then the other thing I found out as I've been in business bit longer and longer is people were citing multiple ways of finding us. You know, a friend, I drive by your store, I see your cars, went online. So you couldn't quantify any one thing that it was your overall marketing. Uh,
Right.
I think one of the mistakes, and we'll be talking about this, I have Jerry's flooring family meeting tomorrow, and
Okay.
one of the things we're going to be talking about is the messaging and where one of my great clients, he very, very creative, does a fantastic job advertising, but he uses multiple messages,
Uh,
so nothing sticks.
mm,
I want to make the point, here's 10 messages, but imagine if you said the same thing 10 times
uh,
versus
uh,
10 separate messages. So creating a campaign, if you're going to do an ad on radio, TV, commercial, a billboard, you're going to have the same message up there for a long period of time. But on social media, we're changing, we're constantly changing it. And you could change the design and you could change the message a little bit. The sale and special should be the same.
uh,
Like you
uh,
got to try and find a way to make whatever that sale is exciting and just repeat that maybe in a different way, but repeat it over and over and over again so people can wrap their head around.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Now,
No,
for
that
like
makes
you that you
sense.
sell your main two products are carpet and luxury vinyl. You got people like you tend to move a lot faster than the guys that are doing everything, that have kitchen cabinets, countertops. A lot of those guys don't grow past 3, 4 million.
Okay.
But you're
Okay.
gonna leap over 10 million being a one or two trick pony with
Uh-huh.
LVP and carpet.
So, and thank you for saying, and quite a few things you said resonated with me. To go back, I personally, or I as the business owner of Direct Flooring, you know how it is being an owner. I'm responsible for the advertising and the marketing, and I have actually put myself into a little bit of a conundrum. So I'll echo what you say, because I advertise very low price on one billboard, and on the same billboard I advertise, this incredible service that we offer. And I say that because we do a lot of digital billboards, so they'll rotate two or three messages. But I have just recently thought, I don't think I need to be saying more than one or two messages, even though we've
Uh,
got 25, 30 billboards. We need to be saying one or two messages and just really getting that into people's mind. We
like a
offer
slam dunk message.
that's
You,
it.
what's the name of the flooring that you sell?
The name of the flooring as far as the manufacturer.
Yeah, the brand. What is the
Oh
brand?
yeah, well, MSI and Titan Surfaces are our two main groups.
Titan's not a bad name. I'm just talking from a marketing. I'm not talking about the quality. I don't really know it.
Right.
But what if you exclusively sold Barney's Best
Ah.
flooring?
Okay.
And you repeat that over and over again. So everything, it's the only place you can get Barney's best flooring.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I see where you're
Private
going.
label. And I don't private label for to do it I don't believe in the whole private label game. I think it's the lazy man's way of selling because you're assuming that somebody can't find that somewhere else. They don't like you or your product or your service or your price, but they can't find it somewhere else, so they're going to buy from you. That's not
Mm, hmm.
so, um, but I do like private labeling in the sense of if a marketing message improves. So if I can communicate this better, and if you over and over again and you promote the hell out of Barney's best flooring, people want to see what you're talking about.
That's right.
Come into your showroom to see what that flooring is. That they can
Oh,
only get at direct flooring.
that's right. Well, so you've actually helped me right now to relate. I've got a brand new product through one of those manufacturers, and it's a very impressive product, and it's only 5 colors.
Yeah.
And what's neat about, because we do so much volume with our two groups that we I mean, we love to use the word partner. I mean, we partner with these groups. I had, like I say, dinner with one of the reps for MSI or this past Friday. And Titan Surfaces did a big Facebook promotion at our company last week. They brought their social media person. But the idea is that how do we always or what they've done is they've allowed me to have some protection as far as exclusivity,
Yeah.
not cluttering in my environment or my area. So you're right. I don't believe in private label, and I tell you for a different reason. I I never did it. I never brought it in as a private label. But what I realized, because so many people I know did, is that the further you remove that company, meaning the manufacturer, from actually even having their own name on the label, to me, you've also removed a lot of the warranty. And it's just a suspicion I have.
Mm.
But the warranty and the onus, if it were ever to have a claim, and we know I hate to say it, but the dirty little secret on a claim is that they will void it just for the installation 99.99% of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of, I think, knowledge or inside knowledge that I know, being where I am near Dalton, Georgia, and seeing how a lot of groups do this. So where the trend is and where we are at Direct Flooring, which is different than just other LVP retailers, is that we really focus on name brand, first quality, but also thicker products. So our products, when I talked about the three companies, the big box stores, the healthy, reliable stores like us, and then the small time can make it as long as they stand behind their product and their installation. But the problem is that group usually can't. I did when I was first selling out of my truck. If there was an issue with the installation or the product, I stood behind it. I didn't have the money to, but I found a way to. I mean, I toughed it out every way I could just to make it right for the customer. But again, going back, I'm trying to remember what the original question was.
We
Just
were
yeah,
talking about
going
brand and private labeling. You're
private labeling. Yeah, to me, I just think it's a little bit of a gamble. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and well, and I'll take you back to why people buy, why are people the two main reasons people buy new flooring. One, they hate what they have, and two, they got the money to do something else.
Yes, I've heard
Those
you
are the
say
key drivers of them. And one thing I would have you think about, urge you to think about as you create marketing is there's a woman on the couch, they're watching the football game, and she's scrolling through her phone. How
that.
do you get her to stop the scroll?
Right.
Oh, and is she sitting there going, God, I wish I had more durable flooring. God, I wish I had something that was waterproof.
That's right.
Or is
Yeah,
she going, I hate what I got now. I would love something different.
you're
So
right.
show them something gorgeous that they're going to love. But I'd go all in on the Barney's best flooring and do a caricature of Barney,
Oh,
and then you could tell a story and really build up a brand that is memorable.
uh-huh.
And that's the nice, I mean, in our industry, there is no branding. There is no brand that the consumers are familiar with.
Mm.
So it's really there for you to create. You can create that brand just with all of your marketing. And I think you'll drive a lot more traffic to even the name of your company is kind of generic. You can get confused between your name and somebody else's name, whether it's
Sure.
close or similar. And so, but if you're branding Barney's Best Flooring, well, nobody can touch you. Every dollar you spend, you've got a unique brand that works for branding and direct response.
Oh, I really like that recommendation. I really do. And again, because to me, the emotional connection's so much there. I mean, but also, like you say, have it unique, have it living, it brings me back to, again, how direct flooring, it brings me back to the DNA
Yeah.
of all the other things that my grandfather and the business means to me. So
Mhm.
it makes it for me a little bit easier to sell. No, but thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You bring something in honor of him, and you can use dates and things like that for your pricing. And Just be real creative with something. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I
Uh,
love it.
and that would look great on a billboard. I
Uh,
mean, how many people, Barney's Best Flooring, you see that up there, and they mean I would go out and buy the URL too. So
oh,
if they're looking at it, it goes to your website.
right. I
So
like it. I like it.
not that, but so coming to a close here, I'm trying to think. Wanted to ask you about that a lot about the marketing and sales presentation, and that's where it's at. Um, and you are in the business of attracting customers, right? So it's so important to get that marketing and do. I always told people, you spend time on PK sessions that don't ever bring in a customer. How much time do you put towards your marketing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That guy that works on the marketing and the customer acquisition, that's what wins the game at the end of the day.
You're 100% correct. And I wanted to actually mention something that I'm a true believer in again is, and I'd like to ask your thoughts, how the in-home sales for me are such a key point. And when I say in-home, I'm not talking about having to close the sale in-home. I know some people are a huge believer in I think they call it same day close, but just getting into invited into someone's home to do your estimate. Um, is there special marketing where you're basically asking, and I'm asking you if you know of any, where you're basically asking that customer, for that opportunity to present that estimate or that
Not
competitive?
about the marketing. It doesn't happen at the marketing end. Marketing should all be about product and attracting customers to make the call.
Okay.
Because there's a difference between marketing and selling. So marketing is attracting customers to make the call. Selling features are things like lifetime warranty, great service, all these other things, or maybe there's something special you do in the installation process or something special about the product. That's not important right now.
Right.
Important part is attracting, like when they had COVID, we were going through COVID. It was the stupidest thing in the world that all these marketing companies put a COVID message up. It's
Mm.
like, I don't care how you're handling COVID. I came to your website for flooring, not to see how you're handling, put a button in the side if you want
Uh-huh.
people to find out how you're handling COVID. But
Right.
don't smack them in the face with that message.
Right.
So, how can we get them excited, first of all, about a product to
Yes.
either come to the showroom or make the phone call? That's the goals. Come to the showroom, make the phone call. And then when they come to let's say they make the phone call, then you offer up the in-home estimate.
Got it.
You don't need a special van, you don't need special marketing. People don't understand the whole shop at home idea. They don't want to shop at home, they want flooring.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You're just giving that as a way to do it. And you only offer to come out to their house. You only invite them into the showroom when they ask. Have a
Hmm.
showroom? Oh, absolutely. What area are you in? This is the closest showroom to you. But you always, because I used to offer both.
Uh-huh.
You can either come to the showroom or we can come out to the house. And I learned to stop doing that and only offer the in-home estimate because that's where the sales are made. And it's not about closing in the home. It's about giving your customer an opportunity to buy.
Okay. I like that.
So
I've
you
heard you
don't,
say that. Hmm.
yeah, you don't have to put pressure on the customer, but isn't it better, more honest, and more ethical that somebody who allowed you into her home, that cleaned up, you're going into her bedroom, into the bathroom, into very closets, into very vulnerable places.
Hmm.
That's not comfortable. Wouldn't it be more professional and better service to offer them a quote on what they're looking for now? And people are like, I don't want to pressure them. Well, that's nonsense. Give them an opportunity to buy now. You don't have to pressure them,
Uh-huh.
but if you give them the opportunity, they may cancel the other appointments.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
nobody should ever email a quote. Emailing is the worst thing you can do for giving an estimate.
Okay.
It shocks me that people do that they email the quote, but they're doing that to be accurate.
Uh-huh.
So I challenge them. Why are you trying to be accurate in an industry with no standards? We
Uh,
all pay different wholesale prices for the same materials. We all pay different labor prices. We
yeah,
all have different markups and margins. We all do everything. Every aspect of our business is different. This is crazy in this industry. Like
I'm
there is
sure.
no standards at all.
Uh-huh.
How can you be wrong? You can't be inaccurate. So the number one thing I tell flooring dealers, the number one thing you can do is make it easy to give a price.
Okay.
Once you make it easy to give a price, it's better for the salespeople, it's better for the customers.
Yes.
And we do that through bundling.
Uh-huh.
Give them everything that they need and charge them accordingly. Furniture move, new baseboards, whatever it is that you need to do. You're going to need to tear up the carpet. You're going to need to do some floor prep.
Right.
Stuff should be built into the labor price because it needs to be done. So you're given one quote, but create a great customer buying experience for them.
That's
They're-
right. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah.
yeah, I've heard people say, well, what if they want to tear out their own flooring? Nobody wants to tear out. Why would anybody want to tear out their own flooring and haul it off to the dump? You know how much chiropractors cost these days? I mean, who wants to do that themselves?
I bet.
Well, if they want to save money. Well, if they want to save money, they're not buying flooring. That's not
Right.
why they called you. Not like their air conditioning broke and, they
Right.
have this is not an unexpected, unplanned expense like tires or air conditioning,
Right.
but we take the fun out of it
Mm.
because we're trying to help them on price when, what they're really after is beautiful flooring.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that's what should be marketed. That's what should be sold.
Hmm.
You don't have to offer discount sales, specials. I've never seen that stuff. One thing I've always said is there's no low price leader in our industry. There
Oh,
is nobody that is the top dog in your city or state by offering a low price. You
oh,
know, who's the top dogs? It's going to be the Empires, Refloor. These are the people spending the most on marketing. It has nothing to do with their ads.
that's right.
They're
Oh,
just flooding the market with advertising. So, guys like you have such a huge opportunity because you don't need to spend as much and you can move a lot faster, a lot further, and be a lot more savvy in your marketing and message than those guys. But we have to be creative. We have to be more savvy.
I
So,
like that. Yeah.
you can, you're not far from 12 million.
Thank.
You can do that in the next 3 years with the right marketing.
Sure. Oh, I love it. I think so. The Barney's best, and also this idea of being able to get to that price and to present, the idea of your beautiful floors. I mean, we're in the business to make your floors beautiful.
Yeah.
I really like what you've told me. Those two tips in particular have been great. So
Yeah, love it.
really,
Love your flooring, and I try to emphasize with the salespeople, if the salesperson that can get the customer excited about it is the one
yes,
who's going to win.
that's right.
It's like, damn it, that other guy's like $2,000 cheaper, but I don't like him. I'd rather go with Gary. I mean, at
Right.
least his quote includes the baseboards, includes moving furniture. I don't want to pay to move my bed. I don't want to pay, all this extra money.
That's right. That's
Or the other guy never got back to me with a quote. I'm
uh,
ready to do this. Let's go.
and you've got to be action oriented in this business. And I think you can't just say it. You've got to be able to do it, and like you just say, package it. Hey, we take care of everything. You relax. Buying flooring's easy. We just need to find what you like. We'll take all the stress out.
I
But
call it,
I like what you've done to my mindset already. It's really helped.
the studies have shown that buying anybody who can afford new flooring has a bad back and doesn't. So, don't make that a line item. Don't make that something separate. Build it into the price and do it for them.
I like. Uh-huh.
All right, sounds good, brother. Well, let's wrap it up. And great interview. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jerry.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you soon. Talk to you
You
later.
too, sir. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. Thanks for joining the Flooring Business Podcast. If you'd like to have a one-on-one strategy call for your flooring business, where we can review where you're at and how you can increase sales and profits by over 30%, go to jerrylevinson.com/apply and request your free strategy session. Let's discuss where you're at, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. I look forward to talking with you and helping you profit now in the flooring industry.